Hello. Every time, thinking about buying a new car and choosing it, we ask ourselves questions about the make of the car, engine power, the number of gears, airbags, all kinds of options, the capacity of the passenger compartment, the trunk. About color. About the price, finally. And almost never we are interested in such a parameter as the turning radius of the car. We do not compare it with an old car that we want to change. Moreover, we often don't even know what the turning radius of our car is. What kind of comparison can we talk about? Cars with the smallest turning radius are easier to maneuver. This is an indisputable fact. This parameter is especially relevant when driving in cramped conditions, for example, in the city, as well as in hard-to-reach places. With a smaller radius, car parking is much easier. Each of us has faced a difficult task of maneuvering in a narrow space, for example, in the parking lot at a shopping center. The longer the car, the harder it is to park. And in this case, the most important parameter is the turning radius. The steering wheel is completely turned in one direction or another. But we need to determine whether the car will be able to turn around completely on a particular stretch of road, or the driver will need to switch from front gear to rear several times. Of course, knowing the exact numbers regarding the turning radius of the car is not enough. The driver will not run along the road with a tape measure to determine whether he can turn around here or not. To determine this as quickly as possible, you need to get used to the size of your car. But when choosing cars, it is quite logical to compare the parameter of the turning radius of cars. To know what awaits us in narrow spaces. How problematic the maneuvers will be. Usually in passenger cars it ranges from 8.5 to 12.5 meters. But how to find out the turning radius of your car? Or simply put, measure it? I will give an example of how this parameter was checked at the factory. I happened to work for many years as an engineer in the testing department of an automobile plant. And in the course of their duties to perform this measurement, we chalk a line in the middle of the wheel, right here on top. And then, we start moving. Everything is simple. Chalk from the wheel draws a circle line on the asphalt. We just have to go full circle and wait for the lines to connect. The driver must move very slowly. The steering wheel is turned out as much as possible. By the way, it is useful to repeat the same after this check, but in a different direction. You will have a real idea of the equality or difference of the maximum angles of rotation of the controlled wheels to the right and to the left. Then you will have to contact the service center to fix this flaw, if any. Agree, it's unpleasant to realize that your car turns left worse than right, or vice versa. What we are measuring now is called the curb-to-curb measurement method. We do not take into account obstacles in the form of fences, walls, pillars. That is, with low curbs or no curbs, such a parameter tells us a lot. But if a wall appears during a U-turn, then the front overhang of the vehicle, the distance from the wheel to the outside of the bumper, creates a problem for us. Therefore, we additionally make a marking of the passage of the extreme outer dimension of the car. The farthest part of the bumper. The designer specially cut off the corner of the bumper, licked it, smoothed it. This significantly reduced the turning radius of the external dimensions of the car. In the technical literature, this parameter is called wall-to-wall. Unlike the previous parameter, this value on the same car will be slightly larger, since the distance from the wheel to the outside of the bumper is added. We will simply add this distance on both sides to the diameter of the track of the wheel axis. But there is another parameter of interest to us. This is the width of the corridor of the car during the turn. To do this, we need to mark the passage of the left smallest radius of the car's dimensions. We use a plumb line and draw a line. All markings are applied. We just need to take measurements using a regular tape measure. So, the first car got the result. The width of the corridor is 2 meters 42 centimeters. This is a corridor with the steering wheel fully turned, with the front wheels fully turned. If we were moving straight, the width of the corridor would be 1 meter 70 centimeters. That is, in a turn, the car takes up 72 centimeters more space than if it were moving in a straight line. Make a conclusion. If you are passing a bottleneck, then try to move with straight steerable wheels. In other words, try not to turn in a narrow place. We drove through a narrow gate. Turn the steering wheel wherever you want. Of course, this is not always possible. Then look for a compromise between what is necessary and what is possible in a narrow space. The diameter along the axis of the outer wheel is 10 meters 8 centimeters. But this is on the axis of the wheel. To get the result, from curb to curb, you should add the width of the wheel. And this result will be the same as in the technical characteristics of the car. We repeat the measurements with another car. All the same actions. The width of the corridor is 2 meters 70 centimeters. And this is when the width of the car itself is 1 meter 85 centimeters. In a turn, the car takes up 85 centimeters more space than if it were moving in a straight line. The turning radius is 13 meters 60 centimeters. If we compare it with the first car, then the car needs 3 meters 52 centimeters more space to turn around. Which car is easier to maneuver in narrow courtyards is for you to judge. And that's all I have for today. All bye.